Welcome Revolution Now, I'm Rudolph. In this video I'm going to be continuing my reading of the Quran, all the green parts that I highlighted that might be useful in convincing somebody to commit an act of jihad or violence or atrocity against somebody that is not Islamic. I'm just going to get right into it. We are starting to get through a lot of these chapters since they are getting smaller and smaller as we go. Here we go. Oh, this is going to be a fun one. 17. The children of Israel. Let's see what it has to say about them Jews. 4. We announced to the children of Israel in the book, we will surely create disorder twice in the land and become exceedingly arrogant. So when the time of first prediction came, we sent against you our creatures full of material might, who ransacked your cities, and then prediction was fulfilled. We shall rouse another people to shame you and enter the temple as they have come the first time, and to destroy what they have conquered utterly. But if you repeat it, we shall do the same. We have constituted hell as a prison for the unbelievers. So again, it's directly taking all Jews and putting in the unbeliever category. Remember what happens to everybody in the unbeliever category. It's throughout, there's no changing it. I mean, even if you wanted to change it, let's say you were going, oh yeah, but this part and this part, you'd literally have to change the whole fucking book. Do you not get that? It's not like, oh, that one passage. It's like when you compare it to the whole belief in Christianity that says we don't believe in gays or something like that. They always go to that one Leviticus parts that are saying a man shall not lay with a man. Yeah, if you take out that one part and maybe one other, there's like nothing about gays in the book. It's like, well, yeah, just change those two things and gays are good to go, really. Jesus said love everybody. It kind of even goes with that. It kind of goes against Leviticus. If we were to only believe what Jesus said, Leviticus can go fuck himself. For all of his gay-hating homophobia, doesn't matter. Jesus said love everybody. Even hung out with whores. Totally different person than Muhammad. Totally different person than Allah. You would have to change the entire freaking book, which again, you can't do. I could go back to the part where it says you can't do that, or we could just acknowledge the reality that if you were to change the whole book, then Islam doesn't exist. You just killed Islam. And if that's your goal, good luck with that. But you're not going to convince any Muslim of that. They're just going to kill you for trying. You're not going to convince it out of them. I'm trying to do that though, but let's hope it works. As for those who do not believe in the hereafter, we have prepared a painful punishment. There are some things that are yellow and green, as you can note. I probably counted them for both. Whoop, whoop. If it's green, if it's yellow and has a little green marker next to it, it kind of goes for both. It's both very hateful and used to commit jihad. So I'm going to read the yellow for that section. And when we destroy a human habitation, we send our command to warn its people, living a life of ease, and when they disobey, the sentence against them is justified, and we destroy them utterly. Now remember, you could say that this is all historical and it doesn't really matter, but again, it's throughout. It's a constant message. God hates the Jews, and it literally just says, literally, when we destroy the human habitation, we send our command to warn its people, living life of ease. When they disobey, a sentence against them is justified, and we destroy them utterly. It's justified. Why you don't have people showing up on the news and saying, that's wrong, it says this in the Quran, it says it in the Hadith, you can't do this, is because it says the exact opposite. It says it's justified. It says it's justified. The book says it's justified. That's why there's so many matawas going, and then everybody's like, yay, yay, because he's just reading the book. He's not crazy. He's religious. Yeah. How many generations have we laid low after Noah? For your Lord knows and notices well enough the sins of his creation. He hates you even though he created you. You're fucked up, you Jews. But he who desires the hereafter and strives for it with all will, and is a believer, will be favored in his endeavor. Strives after the hereafter. What does that mean? Go kill yourself. We have given the right, oh no, that's something else, except in just cause. Okay. This is blue and green. Now there's some blue in here. I'm not going to read that. That's for another thing. I'm going to read this sentence. You see a little blue what the fuck right next to it? Because it's like, right? Let me read this. And do not take a life which God has forbidden. There's a comma there. It's not a full stop. Except in just cause. Is that clear for you? There's no full stops in what I just said, by the way. Do not take a life for which it is forbidden, meaning there's parts in here where there's life you should not take. It doesn't say all life. It doesn't say killing is wrong. It does not say that in the Quran. Unless it's justified. So even if it's wrong, if you feel justified, and if it's for Islam, then yeah, kill him. School bus full of children. Little body parts everywhere. I want you to really understand that. Imagine you're a mother. If you are a mother watching this, or you do have children, I really want you to picture your kids dead. I have 3. I want you to picture your kids dead. I do. When I think about this kind of shit, I think about what they could do to them. Myself, I'm a warrior. If you come at me trying to commit an act of war, I'll go psychopathic and kill everybody. I can't protect all my kids though, nor do I want them to have that mindset, nor do I want them to think in that way, nor do I want them to have a fear that there's a whole billion people plus out there that want death for them. But I want you to feel seeing your baby on the ground after a terrorist attack happened, maybe at a school or at a marathon where you're just there and you didn't get hit. But I want you to picture the blood gushing out of your child, his neck and their body starting to shake as they're losing their life and they don't understand what's happening. And you're trying to console them and you don't understand what's happening. How could this happen? And I want you to feel them lose their life in front of you. And then I want you to know that 1 billion plus people are happy now because that happened to you. And then I want you to understand that when you want that possibility to happen where I live, that I think you're my enemy because I don't want that to happen. We have explained the truth in various ways. In this Quran, in various ways they have said it. They've mentioned it multiple times. What are you not paying attention to? That they may be warned, but it only increased their refractoriness. Way to make that word complicated. Nothing could stop us from sending signs except that the earlier people had rejected them as lies. But they treated her cruelty. Something about a camel. Thus we did instill fear in them, but they only transgressed the more. It's Jews, man. Transgressors. All right, there's a lot of yellow, so it's hate speech mostly. The war is in the other chapters on how to deal with the people you already hate. That chapter is mostly just hate them, but I'm not reading that. That's another video. The cave. 18. And that it may warn those who say, God has begotten a son. Christians. They have no knowledge of this, as their fathers did not have. How terrible are the words they utter. They speak nothing but lies. Will you kill yourself to grieve for them? If they do not believe in this presentation? Christians. It's easier to say Jews though, right? Because it's so much shorter. Jews. Christians. Christians. Just doesn't sound venomous enough. Catholics. That sounds a bit better. Lutherans, Church of Latter-day Saints. 29. Say, the truth is from your Lord, so believe if you like, or do not believe if you will. We have prepared for the sinners a fire. Not a bonfire for roasting, but a bonfire, well, yes, for roasting you. Which will envelop them in its tent. Oh, there it is. If they ask for water, they will be helped to liquid like molten brass that would scald their mouths. How evil the drink and how evil the resting place. But surely we do not let the reward of those who believe and do the right go to waste. There will be gardens of Eden for them with rivers flowing by, where they will be decked in bracelets of gold and silken robes and green and the brocades to wear, reclining on couches. How excellent there's that fucking word, garden, and excellent the resting place. Oh, I made a note about that inshallah thing that I mentioned in another video. We'll get to that in another video, and you guys can see how fucking weird that is. That's where they get it from. 53. The sinners will see the fire and know that they will be thrown into it, and will not find a way to escape from it. But those who disbelieve contend with false arguments to nullify the truth. They make a mockery of my revelations and of what they have been warned. Again, my revelations. God, Allah, is speaking through all of this. This is not Muhammad's book. Can't be changed. 57. Who is more unjust than he, on being reminded of the Lord's revelations, turns away from them and forgets the evil deeds he had committed in the past? Verily, we have placed a covering over their hearts so that they do not understand, and the deafness in the ears, so that however you may call them to guidance, they will never be guided aright. Again, for the billionth fucking time, God hardened their hearts. He closed your ears and your eyes, so Muslims can't help you. They can only kill you. There's not a lot left to be done with you. As for these habitations, we destroyed them only when they transgressed. Even so, we had fixed a time for their annihilation. Your annihilation. 74. The two went on till they came to a boy whom he killed. Moses exclaimed, "You have killed an innocent soul who had taken no life. You have done a most abominable thing." That's again Moses talking about Jews. Moses remarked, "You could have demanded wages for it if you liked, death tax. As for the boy, his parents were believers, but we feared that he would harass them with defiance and belief. We hoped their Lord would forgive them a substitute better than him in virtue and goodness." Now I know why I made it green. They're talking about killing believers and unbelievers, and whether it's boys and his parents and stuff like that. And it's talking about the murderers are unbelievers and what they did. And then Moses is reprimanding them. I had to read the whole thing in order to make these notes. So again, I was trying to be fair. I only took out the part that could be used to be quoted or used and then to make a point for jihad. Not the whole thing. I could copy the whole thing and relate it as a whole story that could commit jihad. But I tried to really keep it down as least as possible in order to earn some sort of credibility for all the research that I did, which I did an ass ton of research. And I wanted it to be so foolproof so that no matter what anybody were to say, I could combat them, and I can with this. And by the way, I decided not too long ago, and I wanted you all to have this capability as well. It's going to be in the description at some point. All these videos will be uploaded at the same time, so it's going to be throughout all of them, even though I never mentioned it before. I will be selling copies of this. I just got to work out the pricing, how much markers cost, the book itself costs, and then shipping to your location. So it's not necessarily going to be cheap, and it also costs my time to go through and highlight each one of these. It can't be made in a factory. I have to do every single one. But I want you to have this capability. I want you to confront Muslims. I want them to have to let their brain collapse in on itself as they try and lie to your face while you have this book in your hand and you point to them and you go, "Show me the peace and love that you keep talking about here." Because I have this book and it's all highlighted out the ass, and unless you can point to something that's not green, you might have a problem here trying to tell me about what the fuck you're trying to tell me. Because I'm not seeing it. And I'm going to give you this power. This is very, very powerful. As a matter of fact, I can go onto any news organizations, confront any caliph, Matawa, or anybody. If I have this with me, what are they going to say? What exactly are they going to quote? Because I'm just going to go, oh, wait, what chapter? What page? Yeah, random flip 32 Al-Saj, page 354. Not so random. I had this here, but I didn't mean for it to stop there. Jews! And we move on. 99. We shall leave them on that day, surging like waves, pressing against one another. With the trumpet blast we will be sounded, when we shall gather them all together. Then we shall bring hell right before the infidels, whose eyes were veiled against my warnings, and they could not hear. Do the unbelievers think that they may make my own creatures their protectors against me? We have prepared hell for the hospitality of infidels. Say, shall I tell you whose labor will be wasted? Theirs, whose effort is misspent in pursuit of pleasures of the world, even though they think they are doing good things. They are those who reject the signs of their Lord and the meeting with him, so their good deeds will be fruitless. On the day of judgment, we shall not appoint any weight for them. Their acquittal will be hell, because they disbelieved and mocked my signs and messengers. But surely those who believe and do right will have garden of paradise as gift, where they will abide forever, never wanting a change. Oh, Mary. Number 19, Mary. Thank God she doesn't start with that shit. But she does in number 39. The evildoers are lost in palpable error. Warn them of the day of pining, when all matters will be settled, though they would still be unawares and unbelieving of the truth. Verily, we shall inherit the earth, and whosoever is in it, and to us they will return. But they are succeeded by a generation who neglect their devotional obligations and follow only earthly pleasures. But when they reach the wrong road and meet destruction, except those who repent and come to believe and do right, they will enter paradise and will not be wronged the least. Mary, what a lovely chapter you have here. So full of your grace and love that we understand as the Mother of God. Let's see what you have to say about people. Well, let's see what God says that you would say about people, or at least put in a chapter with your name in it. And by the way, this is very much like the Bible. The Bible has Mary in it too. Let's read some Bible verses, shall we? By your Lord we shall gather them and the devils together, then bring them crawling on their knees around hell. We shall pull out every section those who are not perversely rebellious against Ar-Rahman. We know best who deserve to be burnt in the fire. We shall deliver those who took heed for themselves and leave the evildoers kneeling there. When our lucid revelations are read out to them, the infidels say to those who believe, which of the two groups is better in standing, and whose company is more excellent? How many generations that had far more wealth and ostentation have we laid low before them? Excuse me. Say, Ar-Rahman extends the life of those who are astray until they come to realize what had been promised them was either physical affliction or the terror of resurrection. Then we will know who is worse in position and who will seek in supports. 77. Have you seen him who denies the revelations and says, I will certainly be given wealth and children? Has he peeped into the unknown? Or obtain a promise from Ar-Rahman? Never so. We shall certainly write down what he says and prolong and extend of his punishment. Do you not see what we have set the devils against the infidels to rouse and instigate them? So do not be hasty with them. We are counting their number, it's in quotes, of days. The day we shall usher the righteous before Ar-Rahman like envoys into the presence of a king, and drive the wicked into hell like cattle driven to water. None will have power to intercede for them except for one who attained a promise from Ar-Rahman. They say, God has begotten a son. they have uttered a grievous thing, which would cleave the skies asunder, rend the earth, and split the mountains. For they have contributed a son to Ar-Rahman, when it does not behoove the merciful to have a son. 94. We have counted them and calculated their number. Every one of them will come before him all alone on the day of resurrection. Surely Ar-Rahman will show love for those who believe and do right. So we have made this Quran easy in your tongue, that you may give good news to those who take heed and warn the people who are contentious. How many generations have we laid low before them? Do you see any sign of them, or hear the whisper of them, or at least whisper of them? Now, that's directly referring to Christians and talking about Mary and saying, hey, Mary, it's not your fault. All these people say that your son's the son of God. They're all a bunch of losers and whatever. But I want to call your attention to 97 in Mary, an actual quote. So we have made this Quran easy in your tongue, that you may give good news to those who take heed and warn the people who are contentious. When they say the Quran's not easily understood, it's poetic, it's got all sorts of things in it, it's not so easy to translate, don't believe everything you hear about it and whatnot. It itself says, made it easy for you to understand. If you still deny the ease with which Allah has made sure that you can understand His word, then something's fucked up with you. And you're going to go to hell. 20. Taha. Taha. Nothing in the beginning of Taha. Hate speech, oh green. 127. And what is how we requite them who is extravagant and does not believe the signs of this Lord? And surely the punishment of the hereafter is far more severe and persistent. Did they not learn from the many generations that we destroyed them before, whose habitations they now frequent? Verily, these are the signs for men of understanding. Destruction. 21. The prophets. 9. Then we made our promise good to them, and derived whomsoever we pleased, and destroyed the transgressors. How many habitations that were sinful have we demolished utterly, and raised other people after them? Whomsoever they sensed our punishment, they fled from them. Do not flee, go back to your halls of pleasure and your habitations, so that you may be interrogated. Woe, alas, they said, we were really sinful. And there remained their lament till we mowed them down and made them extinct. In fact, we strike the truth against the false, which shatters it, and it disappears. Woe to you for what you attribute to him. Jesus. It's not the same as God. Woe to you, you Christians. Much too glorious is God, the Lord of the mighty throne, for things they assert, that Jesus is God. And yet they say, Ar-Rahman has begotten a son. Too exalted is he. In fact, those they call his sons were his honored votaries. See, again, they may use this to say, oh, look, we believe in Jesus. We believe in Jesus. He was a great prophet. Muslims have no problem with Jesus. The problem is your Christian belief that you think he's the Son of God makes you an unbeliever, a sinner, and an idolater. And there's only one thing to do with those type of people. Remove them. Destroy them. Do what you will with them. They really don't matter. So on one hand, you could kind of cherry pick something out to say one thing, but I even highlighted green because I could cherry pick it out and make an extremist out of it. So could a Matawa, and that's what they do. What they say to you, what context they say it to you in, is not necessarily what reality is. And again, I'm going to say it, you keep thinking, and if you may still think it at this point, that I'm cherry picking things in order to lead you to some belief and I don't have an understanding of Islam, let me express this to you again. I grew up over there. All my friends were Muslim. I've read this thing an ass ton of times. They tried to convert me many times. Where I grew up, there's minarets everywhere and all sorts of shit. Now, I'm saying that, but again, for those of you who have forgotten, don't remember, and I know I've got curly hair and luscious lips and then somewhat dark features, that's because of my Spanish blood from actual Spain in my ancestry. My mother is mostly Polish and German. That's why my name's Rudolph. My whole name is really fucking German. So, no, I'm not from there. But the oil industry employs a lot of expats. A lot of expats. Matter of fact, Arabs mostly really lazy. They never really learned to have a system of work because from 1910 to 20 is when they all popped out oil and money just started to flood the region. Nobody developed a work ethic to come along with this. Western influence expats from all over came in and did all the work while they just accepted money. And as you may know, that's not going to breed a working culture. And if you look at the clothing, by the way, the thobe, a long white gown, wearing slippers and balancing a thing on your head that holds a headdress, is not exactly what you're going to be wearing while you drive in your truck to go pick up manure to work in your garden. They don't even do that. There's really no work. As a matter of fact, if they get any sort of stain on that white thing, they will drive home and change completely. That's why it's always pretty much pearly white. They won't work at all. As a matter of fact, many stores over there, the small bakalas, as you would call them and whatnot, that are attached to gas stations, Arabs will drive up, beep their horn, and an Indian or Pakistani will come out, ask them what they want. They'll be like, "Echnin Marlboro Ahmar, Echnin Pepsi." 2 packs of Marlboro Reds, 2 Pepsis. The Indian will go in, get the shit, take the change, do everything, come out, give him his change and everything. He doesn't even need to have to leave the car. That's how little they actually work over there. And I'm going to make a note on the next video or this video and whatnot about exactly how little people work and about slavery in the Middle East, which is still in existence to today, sadly enough. 18, in fact, we strike the... Okay. 18. In fact, we strike the truth against the false, which shatters it and disappears. Woe to you for... Yeah, true. Okay, yeah, I got that. Much too glorious to what they assert. Haram begotten a son. 29. If any one of them said, I am God besides him, we should award him hell, for this is how we requite the evildoers. Do not these unbelievers see... and we made the sky a well-protected roof, still they turn away from his signs. But when the unbelievers see you, they make fun of you and say, is this the one who mentions your gods deridingly? Yet in Ar-Rahman they disbelieve. If only the unbelievers could apprehend the moment when they would neither be able to ward off the fire from their face and their backs, nor help reach them, if they come upon them unawares, confounding them, and they will not be able to keep it back, nor will they be given respite. Say, who guards you from Ar-Rahman by night and by day, yet from the mention of their Lord they turn away, or do not have their lords of their own, besides us who can defend them. But when they are not able to help themselves, nor can they find protection against us, we allowed them and their fathers time to enjoy till the end of their lives. Do they not see us advancing into the land, reducing its frontiers? Would they still prevail? Say, I am the warning you by God's command, but the deaf do not hear and call to the lords they warned. Now, again, reducing frontiers. England, France, Germany, Sweden, I think, or whatever. In the United States, when they make their Muslim communities, they are reducing your frontier. It's all part of Jihad. It's all part of Islam. Raising a mosque, converting somebody, making a Muslim community, getting you to agree to any part of Sharia law is reducing your frontier, and that's exactly how they see it. They do not see it as a cooperative where you give some, they give some, we all kind of go back and forth and get along as you think is what's happening. Because again, as I stated in another video, no churches get built here. No reduction of frontier. Reduction of frontier. Eventually, through attrition, that will work. And you're dumb enough to think that it won't. History does fall. Civilizations fall. Empires fall. if we were to take all of human history as an indicator of what may happen, eventually America will fall. Depending on how it falls is really what's going to dictate what happens after. There could be a complete dark age. You could wipe away half the technology we've accumulated up to this point. We'll start killing each other, and then we'll have to reset and do it all again, ensuring that humans never leave this rock and that you remain a stunted species in the galactic sphere of things, never leaving your solar system, which is fucking sad and pathetic considering how much technology you currently have and what you could potentially do. Or it could simply fall in the sense as move back because the others have risen to the standards it upheld, and we all come together where there doesn't need to be a superpower that dictates morality and justice to the other sides of where humanity is, and everybody just does kind of collectively get along in order to ensure that humanity moves forward in a positive and productive manner. Or Islam could just blow it all the fuck up, and then they will move forward and kill everybody who's left who's not Muslim, because in the dark age you might not have the communications, throughout and whatnot, and the cohesiveness in order to push back in a united crusade type of front, and slowly but surely they will just kill every single one of you. Or they'll rape you out and reproduce you. 95. It is imperative that the habitation we have destroyed will not desist from unbelief. Right then and there. It's funny how I just turned the page, and this kind of always proves my point. It really loves talking about war and destruction, and the more I say shit, I could just flip a page and it will prove me right. Isn't that fucked up? 97. And the certain promise of doom comes near. Then the eyes of unbelievers will be fixed in horror, and they will cry, "Oh, woe betide! We will indeed heedless of this, and were oppressors and unjust. Verily you and those who worshipped other than God will be faggots for hell, and come to it you will." 100. There will only be groaning for them, and they will not hear anything. Okay, I'm at 22, the pilgrimage. I'm going to end this video here. This is going to be a good one. Woo! Oh boy. Now that's a saucy one. Okay. Now I think we are halfway. 283. Yeah, we're a little bit over. We're just about at halfway. I'm running out of things to say. I will go through the other videos and make one of all the blue. You'll see that somewhere. I will go through and make a video of all the orange. You'll see that. I will go through and make a video of all the yellow. Those are not going to be dedicated to liberals. I am making this specific set, just the green, to show you that it's all encompassing and throughout the entire Quran. There's no clear statement that I could possibly think to make. You just have to understand, and I know you don't like hearing this, because nobody likes hearing when somebody says I'm smarter than you. It automatically shuts off people's brains. And I know I'm fucking up when I do it. But facts are facts. I'm not saying I'm smarter than you. But what I will tell you is when it comes to Middle Eastern relations, when it comes to anything over here or the Quran, I am an expert. And I'm an expert that cannot be reduplicated even by any professional or professor type of status, by any sort of person who wants to do research on it. Because I have real world experience on top of and with the research that I've done. You go to the Middle East, you get wined and dined as an oddity, you stay there for a very short amount of time, and you have your limited experience. A professor in a university does study after study of the historical books and context and has a cursory knowledge of how things may have come to have been, and then bases their decision and their dissertation with that information, and then produces a paper or a book, and then that person is an expert. I lived it. I know these people. I've witnessed how they think. I've watched them change over the course and the different stages of their life. I have many different friends of different walks of life from different Muslim backgrounds and of varying ages. What you can't understand is the limitations of your American culture and the things that you grew up with, and you don't understand how I am able to do the things that I do. Very small things here and there lead wide differences between what I am capable of absorbing and understanding versus what you think I'm capable of absorbing and understanding. And here's a small example of that. It's one thing that I came to when I came back to the United States for the first time. I came back every summer and visited cousins and stuff like that for summer vacation. But the first time I came back for a whole year, I went to an American high school. I was 16, turning 17. I did not know that there was a curfew. That was an alien concept to me. There's no curfews in the Middle East, not at least where I grew up, and none that I know of. On top of that, I had already worked actually in the oil industry and lied about my age saying I'm 18. I worked in the safety part of the oil industry, fixing breathing apparatuses that would go into offshore sites. I also trained Hewitt Sea survival courses for when the helicopter goes down, if you were to go to an offshore oil facility. And I also taught fire safety courses. I was in safety and in the oil industry from a very early age. You got the ability to work at McDonald's. My friends, because of the different levels of expats and the different people that were just brought together, and the one thing we had in common was either just the English spoken language, you didn't have a lot of compeers of the exact same bracket. You in the United States probably grew up either white, black, or whatever you are, with a large group of peers that were very much like you. If you grew up where I grew up, that was not the case. Your grouping of friends were multinational most of the time and grouped of varying different ages. Most of my friends were always older than me because I didn't give a fuck about the people my own age, because I viewed them as spoiled little brats who did not fucking work and were given all the money in the world that their parents felt like giving them, because that was the first time their parents had actually made any true money. Those people also didn't stay in those areas for more than 5 years. Friends became kind of temporary. I lived there for more than a decade. People I knew were also people who had stayed there for a very long period of time and were of a certain mindset that they knew they were going to be there a long time. So again, when I came back to the United States, I got in trouble for being outside during my curfew. I was used to being treated like an adult at that age. I was used to buying a pack of cigarettes when I was 12 years old and just smoking right outside the fucking store. There was no smoking age. I was used to my friends just getting cars and driving without licenses because there's no cops to stop you. There's no speed limits. I wasn't used to a lot of the things that stop you from experiencing a more fuller life, because even though you live in a land of the free, you got a lot of laws and a lot of things that make things nice for people. You don't want your children out. You want to make sure they're at home. You have a curfew instead of just watching your fucking kids. Me though, I didn't have a curfew. And eventually I got so big and intelligent enough and just left alone enough where, curfew or not, it's not like anybody was going to stop me. I wasn't really the nicest person back then. But there's the difference. I lived every bit of that life. Like I said, I smoked a lot of hash. I knew a lot of people from many different walks of life and did many, many illegal things. Illegal over there, not so illegal over here. But even sex is illegal over there. Had plenty of that too. Yeah, actually, sex is illegal. So if you're gonna bang and all sorts of stuff, pussy was a high commodity, which I had no problem getting, and got a lot of jealousy for that, especially from Muslim friends who weren't literally allowed to do it, and had to work a little bit extra hard to show that they weren't some sort of fucked up individual who's probably just gonna rape a girl. That's where I know what I know. That's how I could do the things that I do and say the things I say with complete confidence that if you think anything other than what I'm telling you, I can prove myself right. I lived it. There's nothing you could say or do that can compare to that. There's nothing a professor who studied it from a cursory, even visited the Middle East, got wined and dined and traveled around, had a guide to show them all old things and old battles and looked at old tapestries and shit like that. Good for him. He can't compare. I'm one of the few people that actually has that multi-international experience, grew up in a certain place, got to see it through the many different stages, and lived a completely different life than you did. So the things that you may be impressing upon me as the life that you may have led do not compare with the knowledge I have. And I'm going to say this directly to one person in particular who actually has nothing to do with this conversation, but I'm going to twist it in a way in case he ever does see this video or anybody else wants to compare the two or think that we're even comparable. Even Sargon of Akkad, I really respect his videos. I agree with a lot of the work that he does. But he, again, is somebody who goes shy of saying that it's all Islam and says that it is only Muslim extremists, and he has slightly different views than me. He himself grew up as an expat child in Germany. He knows some of what I'm talking about. But again, his limitation would be that he was stuck with either Germans or Brits and maybe some Americans. My friends were Pakistani, Indian, Bahraini, Emirati, Qatari, Kuwaiti, Sri Lankan, South African, British, Australian, Scottish, Filipino, Filipina, Thailand, Thai, Iranian, Malaysian, Jordanian, Lebanese, Egyptian, Sudanese, Brazilian, with about 2 other Americans thrown in there. You think you know people more than I do. How? Just how? That's enough of me gloating about how great the fuck I am, but I didn't even want to do that. I'm just trying to impress upon you that I know what I'm talking about. If you want, I could prove it. If you really want, if you want to buy me a plane ticket, we'll go over there, bring with us a young female past puberty and a young boy and a young girl prepubescent. And I'll show you some really fucked up shit. And it's only the type of fucked up shit I could show you in a Muslim country where they don't respect you. And there's going to be a lot of tears. And somebody may even die. And I'm not even saying I'm going to push it or force it. I could put you in what would be normally a socially acceptable situation where you don't expect some bad shit about to happen, to where you could see evil in somebody's eyes and what they're thinking, and you could waft in it and know just how fucked up things can get if they go a different way. And you want them, yet again, to make large populations and come over here. You don't live in a rape culture, not yet anyways, but you're heading in that direction. Once again, this is a revolution now. I'm Rudolph. As always, have a good one. Hello again, Rudolph, Revolution Now. And again, in this installment of Just a Tip, we're going to talk about what the government actually knows about you in the social media. I've seen how the government works firsthand. I've seen what they have to show me about myself, and I have a vested interest in how they go about accumulating the information that they gather on certain individuals, and how they use that process in order to build cases, achieve warrants, profile individuals, put people into boxes in order to decide what people will and will not do and how they're going to behave in the future, to gauge an overall consensus about the group and culture that they're trying to deal with. And one thing that I did find is that the government pretty much gets all of their information from social media. You yourself are the ones who give them the majority of their information. They don't have these great CIA algorithms to where they can really pinpoint things and predict crimes before they happen, because as you may have seen, crimes have a tendency to still happen no matter how much information that they have. There's a certain amount of a precedent that they need in order to put together to build a case before they go after somebody, before they commit the crime, and they often don't get to that point before a crime is actually committed. But what they do is they do accumulate a profile on you based upon mostly what you yourselves tell them. Taking pictures of a lot of your food, taking a lot of selfies, doing any sort of the planking or whatever people are into these days, regular things in social media posts, will actually let you fly under the radar because they think you are a dullard and pretty much hypnotized like the rest of the culture into doing the most stupid, inane shit in posts that nobody really gives a shit about anyways. Or if you decide to do a lot of political posting, things that might gain weight, have merit, and seem to be fanatical, extremist, or very pro one thing or one other, you will get on their radar and they will start to build a profile about you regarding that which you have given them and given them reason to look into you about. So if you want to remain safe and off the radar and not have a profile built in the government about you, simply stop telling them shit. Stop posting shit to your social media account. It's all a farce. Nobody gives a fuck what you ate. Nobody cares where you went on vacation other than your family, other than your close friends and your close family. All those other followers are just people who at one random point selected one of your things, hit like, and decided to follow because they had some minute interest at the moment towards what you were doing. And you don't need to listen to me in order to believe this. Just look at your own habits. Is there anybody out there that you follow so intently, whether they're friends, a mediocre celebrity, or somebody who just has a lot of cool posts and stuff that you found interesting? You don't follow them as much as they may believe you're following them, or you yourself might not have the followers you think that you have. You do not. Nobody actually gives a shit. Everybody is so self-centered due to the nature of humanity itself that those posts are really only used for the government these days in order to find out who you are and to make a whole profile about you. So, I'm Rudolph. This is Revolution Now. Stop telling the government everything about yourself. That's the only thing you're doing with social media. Have a good one.